The Berrios Victorian stood quietly on a new Bedford street, its ornate trim and towering windows a relic of another century. Built during the height of New Bedford's prosperity, the home carried an elegance of a bygone era. Carved woodwork, sweeping staircases, and a vast third floor once used as a ballroom. When Tracey and Dennis Berrios first walked through the doors, they didn't feel fear, they felt possibility. Tracey described an immediate connection to the house, an overwhelming sense of familiarity, almost like memory rather than imagination. The rooms felt warm, welcoming, alive. To her, the house didn't feel abandoned, it felt occupied, but not yet threatening. At the time, she believed the presence might simply be the imprint of those who once lived there. Not long after moving in, strange things began to happen. Small, easily dismissed things at first. Objects left in one place would later be found somewhere else. Doors that were shut would open again. Tracey noticed certain rooms felt heavier than others. Not colder exactly, but dense, as though the air itself resisted her. She often felt watched, especially when she was alone, but she told herself it was her imagination reacting to the age of the house. Dennis experienced it too. Footsteps echoed from the upper floors when no one was there. Sounds of movement traveled through the house late at night. Deliberate paced, not the random settling of old wood. Still, neither of them immediately thought evil. Tracey believed the house was simply haunted, possibly by a former female resident who still lingered attached to the home she once loved. But that belief shattered one morning before dawn. Tracey was asleep in bed when she felt movement beside her, the mattress dipping, sheets shifting. Half asleep, she assumed Dennis had climbed back into bed. In that quiet, groggy state, nothing felt unusual at first, but then she became aware of something else. Arms, pressure, something wrapping around her body. She opened her eyes. Dennis wasn't there. What held her wasn't human. Tracey tried to move, to turn, to scream, but her body wouldn't respond. The unseen force tightened around her, pulling at her, restraining her. The sensation wasn't passive. It was intentional, violent. She later described it as something grabbing her, holding her down, invading her space in the most terrifying way possible. At the same time, Dennis was already awake in another part of the house, getting ready for work. When the presence finally released her, Tracey was left shaking, breathless, and certain of one thing. Whatever was in the house had just crossed a line. After that night, sleep became nearly impossible. Tracey dreaded going to bed. Darkness no longer brought rest, it brought vulnerability. The attacks didn't stop with the first encounter. The unseen presence returned, always at night, always in the bedroom. Sometimes it was the weight of something sitting on the bed. Other times it was the unmistakable feeling of being touched, restrained, or encircled. This wasn't the same presence Tracey felt during the day. During the daylight hours, the house felt occupied but restrained. A lingering female energy that moved objects, watched from the corners, and seemed to emotionally tied to the structure itself. But the entity that attacked Tracey at night felt different, predatory, focused, personal. As her sleep deprivation worsened, Tracey's fear grew. The bedroom no longer felt safe, even lying awake. Lights on, she felt exposed, like something was waiting for her to close her eyes. The third floor only reinforced that fear. The massive ballroom space, once meant for music and laughter, made Tracey deeply uneasy. The moment she stepped into it, she felt overwhelmed, disoriented, anxious, and unwelcome. The energy there felt concentrated, heavy, as if years of emotion had soaked into the floorboards. She avoided the room whenever was possible, sensing that something important and unresolved was tied to the space. Desperate for answers, Tracey and Dennis contacted paranormal investigators. The investigators immediately noted distinct activity within the home. Equipment responded in specific areas, particularly on the third floor. They concluded that a female spirit was present, likely a former resident who maintained an emotional attachment to the house. The spirit was responsible for the movement of objects and the lingering sensation Tracey felt during the day. But the investigators also confirmed something far more troubling. The attacks in the bedroom were not caused by the female spirit. There was a second entity in the home, darker, more aggressive, and capable of physical interaction. This presence targeted Tracey specifically, confronting her in her most vulnerable moments. The investigators warned that this type of activity suggested something dangerous, an entity that fed on fear, exhaustion, and emotional distress. For Tracey, the realization was devastating. She hadn't imagined the attack. She wasn't dreaming. She wasn't confusing stress with fear. Something unseen had entered her bed, wrapped itself around her, and returned again and again. The house that once felt familiar now felt hostile. The investigators explained that some spirits remain tied to a place by memory, by love, loss, or unfinished lives, but others are drawn not to the house, but to the people inside it. The entities don't linger out of nostalgia, they intrude, they invade, and once they choose a target, they rarely let go easily. For Tracey, the fear wasn't just what had already happened, it was the uncertainty of what could still come. Night after night, she lay awake listening to the house breathe around her, every creak shifting in shadows, a reminder that sleep was no longer a place of safety. The bedroom, once a place of rest, had become a battleground. The Victorians still looked the same in the daylight. Sunlight streamed through tall windows. Neighbors passed by unaware, but Tracey knew the truth. The house wore two faces, one that welcomed visitors and another that revealed itself only in the dark. And while the investigators could identify the spirits within the wall, they could not promise something more important, that the attacks would ever truly stop. Because some houses don't just hold on to history, they watch. They wait, and when the lights go out, they remember exactly who you are. In the end, fear became too much to ignore. Despite their love for the Victorian house and the plans they once had to restore it, Tracey and Dennis realized that the house was no longer a place of peace. The nightly attacks, the constant unease, and the knowledge that something dark had targeted Tracey personally took a toll they could not afford to pay. They made the decision to leave. The Berrios family moved out of the home, choosing their safety over the dream they once believed in. The house was eventually sold, its elegant exterior once again hiding the terror that unfolded within its walls. Whether the spirit remained inside is unknown, but Tracey believes this: whatever attacked her was not bound to the house by walls or wood alone. It was drawn to her, and that realization still follows her long after she closed the door behind her for the last time. Because some nightmares don't end when you move away. They end only when they decide to let you go. Have a creepy day, guys. Bye.